Happy Independence Day, y'all. Although I gotta say, I'm not really sure if a lot of people who live in America understands what that means, even though they profess to love the idea of being independent.
You keep using that word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
I think what's happening. Propaganda.
Now, according to liberals, the only ones who should really be able to celebrate Independence Day are only those who are above the age of 26. Because if you're under 26, you should be allowed to drink cocoa in your footy pajamas while enjoying the comfort and independence of your parents' insurance. Hey, if the Affordable Care Act was so affordable, then surely a person who's legally old enough to work should be able to afford it independently. That includes being able to afford it independently of having others being forced to pay financial assistance for it. You know, because it's so affordable. And not only are people not grasping the concept of independence in that they're dependent on their parents' insurance or having others forced to pay financial assistance for them, they're even dependent on children who haven't even been born yet who are going to have to assume the debt of the dependency culture. We got folks who yammer about being independent, like with their sexual lifestyle and reproductive choices, their body, their business. Yet for all that independence they talk about, they demand to be dependent on the taxpayer being forced to pay for their birth control. Nobody can have say about her independent choice to have an abortion, but she demands to be dependent on you to pay for it. I'm an individual and totally independent, but I demand that you make marijuana legal for me to be dependent on. Hey, who's it gonna cost if I smoke marijuana? It doesn't cost you, it's my business, and it's none of yours. It's never gonna cost you. However, I do demand to be dependent on this EBT card that the taxpayer is being forced to pay for, and be allowed to use it at medical marijuana shops. In the land with the Declaration of Independence, we're being forced to accommodate people crossing our borders illegally, and we're forced to pay for their dependence on our education system. Democrats and the concept of independence don't mix. Democrats didn't want slaves to be independent, and the Democrats wanted to force their dependency of slave labor onto others. That's like double dependency. Not only do I want you to not have your independence, I'm gonna force my dependency on you and force you to be dependent on me. And Democrats are the same way today. They want to force the people to be dependent on the state and force income earners to pay for the state's dependency campaign. And it doesn't matter if you're rich or poor. The government wants the people dependent on it. The government wants the poor dependent on them as they delude them with a twisted idea of what they're supposedly entitled to. And the government wants the rich to be dependent on them with incentives that mitigate the cost of the government's unfriendly business policies. It's just weird celebrating Independence Day in a country that demanded to be dependent on whatever this hope and change was supposed to be, while selfishly not giving any consideration to what it would cost, and not considering that it would cost more than it would yield. And this has been coming long before Obama. I'm Alfonso Rachel with ZoNation, and I'm still gonna celebrate Independence Day and that balance of freedom we're supposed to have in America that many don't understand. I'm gonna crank up the most patriotic rock band in LA, my band, 20 Pound Sledge. I'm gonna thank God for being here, and I'm gonna toss a bunch of fireworks in the barbecue grill, shut it with some patties, and make me some star-spangled cheeseburgers. Democrats and the concept of independence don't mix.